Good morning and welcome to the Daily Halacha. We continue our learning of the wonderful, fantastic Sefer SHearim B'Tefilla. And today we'll spend a few minutes on an interesting debate between the Ramban Nachmanides and the Rambam Maimonides as to the nature of the obligation of prayer. According to Rambam Maimonides, there is a daily biblical obligation, mitzvah deoraita, to pray. According to the Ramban, according to Nachmanides, the obligation to pray on a biblical level, midoraita, only applies when one is in a state of tsar, like the language that we've been talking about, the bitsur. Only when one is in distress is one biblically obligated to pray. But the daily obligation to pray, according to the Ramban Nachmanides, is of a rabbinic nature, is midirabana. Commenting on this debate, the Minchat Chinuch, which is an important medieval work that counts the mitzvot and describes all of the 613 biblical mitzvot, makes a fascinating comment which leads to really a very interesting conclusion. Says, I'll read you the language. He says as follows: V'noheget mitzvah zo b'chol makom u'v'chol zman. The obligation to pray applies at all times to all people, men and women. And one who goes a full day without praying is violating this commandment in accordance with the Rambam. He's following the Rambam that the obligation to pray daily is midoraita. And then he adds this: Umishet sarlo v'lo kara el Hashem itbarach lehoshio. And if someone is in a period of distress and they do not pray to God, then they are in violation of this commandment according to the Ramban. Because if you remember, it was the Ramban who said we're only obligated to pray from a biblical perspective if we are in a situation of tsar. And then he goes on to offer the conclusion to this understanding of Nachmanides, which is really interesting. This leaves us with an awesome conclusion. Whenever someone is engaged or is in a tsar, is in distress, then according to everybody, Rambam and Ramban, one is obligated to pray. How does this apply practically? One who has already prayed in the morning. And then later in the day, they encounter some distressing news or some distressing situation. Then, according to Ramban for sure, and Rambam as well, they're obligated to stop and offer a prayer to God, ask God to help. So now we've moved out of the realm of formal prayer into the realm of informal prayer, which is, according to this approach, supposed to be part of our daily activities. Whenever something bad happens, according to this approach, we should stop and say, "Dear God, I need your help. Dear God, please help me, give me wisdom so I could better understand how to take my next step, what my next decision could be. Dear God, please heal this person who I just heard that is sick." And this allows us to expand our relationship with God. Now, of course, we don't want it to get paralyzing, that we're not able to do anything else because we're always focused on a tsar and always focused on speaking with God and therefore not able to do anything else, like spend time with our families or talk to our partner. But it does remind us that when we do hear something, we have an obligation to pray on it, pray for the situation. And it really, again, gives us this opportunity to really widen how we think about the notion of prayer. It's not just 3 times a day in synagogue. It's really any time. Anytime we feel distress, we are welcomed and maybe even obligated to reach out to God. I feel that's a really beautiful thing to think about. It takes us away from the need to be able to read the Hebrew and understand the text of the prayer. This is in our own language, in our own words, from our heart. And it's a very, very important and can be a very, very powerful spiritual exercise if we become accustomed to it. Have a wonderful day.